involvement. And we're just really excited to share the latest and greatest of what's been going on in Stop 6. And I'm going to turn it over to Gina to say a few words of welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, no, it's afternoon. I hope you can see me. I don't know what you see. I'm in my office at City Hall. These offices were designed by Bob Turrell, never to encourage council members to hang out too often and too long. So hopefully I'm in view. Every time I go down Rosedale and go south on Stall Cup or Amanda, I get excited. And if you go down Amanda right now, you'll see what's to come. But if you go down Stall Cup, all you'll see is the green netting that says block, block, block. And what that means is construction, the prep work is already underway, and people are just going by taking selfies, believe it or not. So I'm glad to be a part of today's update and looking forward to the information that I know is going to be shared. So let's go Stop 6. We are thriving. Thank you for your leadership, Mary Margaret.
All righty, Lachelle Goodrich here, the Stop 6 Choice Neighborhood Initiative Director. And I just want to give you today's agenda, overview of today's agenda, who all will be joining us to give us an overview. So we have wonderful partners of McCormick Barron Salazar, Block Constructions, Bennett Partners, the City of Fort Worth, and the Fort Worth Police Department, as well as Urban Strategies joining us today. We will also be monitoring the chat for question and answers, as well as pausing in between each update to give you a choice to ask questions and us give a response. Please note that today's session will be recorded, and going live on Facebook, as well as we will send out the recording later on today. Let's go ahead and take a look. Just give an overview. It's been a while since we've talked about what's to come and what is the Stop 6 Choice Neighborhood Transformation Plan. So if we have some new guests joining us today, we have 3 pillars to this grant. We have the people pillar, which I consider the heartbeat of the grant, where you have former Calvo Place residents supported throughout the transformation, ensuring that they have case management services, where their new home is, that they are thriving, as well as that they will be invited to return back to new mixed income properties here in the Stop 6 area. Then you have housing, where formerly 300 Calvo Place public housing units will be replaced by 1,000 units of attractive mixed income housing in 6 phases. And then you have the neighborhood part, where East Rosedale is activated to create open space. Go to the next slide, please. So part of this 6th phase of transformation, now that we are a year and a half into this work, we have Cowan Place, 5 months into construction, and expected to break ground on Hughes House, which is phase 2, by June, no later than June, hopefully in May, but we'll see what's to come. And so here's just the timeline that you can look at. We have in May of 2022, the City of Fort Worth bond election, which will help contribute to the potential community hub pending the voters' approval. So we'll take a look at this and then highlight some of the milestones here. From the application submission back in October 2019 to the HUD award approval of $35 million of the Choice Neighborhood Grant back in April of 2020, to the Cowan Place design release, demo of Calvo, to January 2021, naming phase 2 after the legendary Dunbar coach, Robert Hughes Sr., moving on to the City of Fort Worth, proposes the Critical Community Improvement Plan. And then in April of last year, the 22 acres of Calvo was finally cleared out for future development. And as we talked about, the May of 2021, the City of Fort Worth proposes the 2022 bond program. And then in June, the wonderful mosaic sculpture at the Rosedale Park. And then in September 2021, we were able to do a wonderful groundbreaking at Cavill Place, which kicks off the 24-month construction phase. And then we released the final design of Hughes House Phase 2 back in December of 2021. So next slide, we will pass it on to Lou Bernardi, who will provide a housing update for us.
Thank you, Michelle. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for making the time to be with us today. I'll be joined today by Jason Keller, who's Managing Director of Block Companies, the general contractor that is working with us on Cowan Place and on the Hughes House development, as well as Michael Bennett, who's the principal and CEO of Bennett Partners, the architectural firm, who's been working with us on the design for Cowan Place and currently on the design for Hughes House, as well as the overall site plan and site planning for the former Cavill public housing site. I just wanted to thank both of Jason and Michael and their respective teams who've been with us since the beginning for these projects, and who have been really critical and key members of our development team. To really work together with us, Fort Worth Housing Solutions, the city, community, stakeholders, everyone to really help plan a high quality residential development for seniors at Cowan, and certainly a high quality family development at Hughes House. So very happy that they are on the team and have been working with us so well. What you'll see in the slide before you is just a summary of Cowan Place Senior Living at Stop 6. As Mayor Pro Tem Bivens indicated at the Rosedale and Stall Cup, there's been a lot of activity, and you'll soon see some vertical construction going on, and Jason will talk a bit about that soon. Again, it's a 174 unit apartment community, 100% affordable for seniors 62 years and older. We'll have some beautiful indoor and exterior common areas and amenities for residents, and certainly we'll have an array of supportive services available for our residents once they occupy the building. Again, as it was stated, we started construction in September, had a few delays, weather and other delays, but currently well underway with much of the site work going on. And again, Jason will get into some of those details, but we look to be finished and fairly well leased up by the end of December 2023. We'll start pre-leasing in the fall of 2023 to get a head start on accepting applications through our property management company, McCormick Barron Management, and processing those applications so that folks can move into units as soon as they're ready to turn over. Again, 48 of the apartments are set aside for former Cavill Place residents. They will have priority, first right of refusal to return to this phase of Cavill, and certainly to future phases, this phase of Cowan, and certainly to future phases that will be developed on the Cavill site. Next slide, please. Just give you a sense of the rents and the average square footage of the units at Cowan Place. As I said, there are 178 units, 163 of them are one bedroom, 11 are two bedroom. Their range in size, average size from 611 square feet to about 885 square feet. There really will be nice units, and Michael will talk a little bit more about some of the finishes that we are planning for those units. Again, the affordability will range from 30% of the area median income up to 60% of the area median income. And those rents are set by HUD and certainly are based on individuals' annual income and household size. Next slide, please. This will give you a sense, again, just a refresher on the site plan for Cowan Place. You notice the layout of the buildings that are currently under construction and the site itself. The entrance is off of Stallcup, just south of Rosedale. Drop off, thank you. Drop off point right there where the cursor is an entry, the main entry into the building. There are other entries into the building. Certainly as people enter the parking areas and residents enter that area, as well as the area to the west of the property, to the west of the buildings. There will be, so as I said earlier, some really nice amenities. There will be a nice courtyard for folks to gather and really a nice community to be part of for residents, future residents of Cowan Place. So we're looking forward to the continuation of obviously the construction. And as I said earlier, you'll see some vertical activity happening soon on that site. Jason, if you don't mind, I'll turn it over to you. We have a few aerials to show folks, give folks a sense of what's happening behind the green fence that Mayor Pro Tem mentioned earlier. Of course, from the street level, all you can see is the fence and the green screening, but soon you'll see some activity rising from the site.
Sure, no problem. Thanks, Lou. As Lou stated, if you drive around right now, there's a lot of work going on, but it's not easily visible because it's all either underground or at ground level. What you see there is a picture, an aerial of the entire site where the earthwork has begun. We've done some of the excavation for a retention pond. We're also building up, as you see, the higher portions up for the building slabs themselves. Kind of all the way to the west, you can barely see some blue and green piping. That's some of the underground water and sewer piping. And to the north, there's some reinforced concrete pipe. So currently, what's been going on is just clearing the project, doing the preliminary earthwork, and starting to get underground utilities in. And there's a lot more to come. This is another site just from a different angle. That's where you can really get a good shot. You can see the pond that has been dug. And again, where we're building up the building foundations. And again, it shows you the entire perimeter of the project. Again, it's just ongoing work. Shows you where our construction trailer is, our staging area, and again, the building foundations. These are all just at different stages as the pictures were taken of construction. This was very early on. You can kind of see the light areas. That's a lot of the roads where the heavy equipment and the trucks have been traveling to export soils, bring in materials that we use to stabilize the soils and things of that nature. And again, you can see right there in kind of the, I guess, the southwest corner, some more piping right there stacked up, getting ready to get put in the ground. What's next for Cowan Place? Lou, do you want me to continue with this?
Yeah, please.
Okay. All right. So we're almost out of February. It's gone by very quick, and March is quickly approaching. We have mobilized our concrete contractor. First thing that they're going to begin doing is pouring the elevator pits, start working on grading the fire lanes, the approaches and parking, and then we'll subsequently place that. Once the slabs are poured, once the slabs are formed, obviously we will start underground plumbing within the slabs. Also, one very important thing, since we are having some more activity on the job, meaning more subcontractors are now coming to the job, and there are many more scheduled to come. we're going to have another job fair, which is scheduled for March 23rd. Details will be released soon, but we want to encourage, local residents to come out, bring us some information. If you have a resume, even if you don't, name and phone number and what you're interested in doing. We're going to have all of our subcontractors that are soon to come and begin working on the site. They're available too, to see if we can pair you up and hopefully put some people to work. In early April, actually the electrical underground will begin as well, and the vapor mitigation system installed. Vapor mitigation has to go on right before the main building slabs are poured. Mid-April, you will finally see, as Lou said, which is really not that far away, there's going to be a lot of structural steel going up vertically. You'll start seeing the building being framed. The elevator shafts are masonry, so you'll notice some quite tall 3- and 4-story masonry shafts being erected. And then once the structural steel is in place to keep it safe from any fire or anything like that, we will have them fireproofed. So there's a lot of activity coming, and over the next, as we say, 18 to 20 months, there's going to be a lot. And we actually will have another job fair after March 23rd. The date hasn't been finalized yet, but as more trades come on, there's more opportunities for employment for everybody.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Some of those aerial photos were taken by one of the vendors, subcontractors that's working with Block, Skystream Aerials, a Dallas-based minority business enterprise, and also Ramel Company is providing additional photos for the team, so to keep us and our lenders and investors abreast of the progress that's going on at Cowan. Sorry, there's my camera. I wanted to turn it over to Michael Bennett and to Rachel Davis. Michael will introduce Rachel, but wanted to talk a little bit about the finishes, some of the areas, interior areas of Cowan Place, how they're being, how they're designed, and how they will be finished. So, Michael, if you would.
Thank you, Lou, and wanted to reiterate again how happy we are to be part of this project, and really appreciate the whole team. And Lou, appreciate your comments, and Jason, appreciate working with you guys. What you see on the screen in front of you is the ground floor plan. Cowan Place, because of the topography, is sort of a split level, so there's another wing towards the bottom of your page that you can't quite see. But this is the ground floor plan where the majority of the amenities are. And as Lou mentioned, we've been looking at different options for color schemes for these amenity areas. And I'd like to hand it over to Rachel Davis, who's an interior designer with our firm that's been working on the interior color schemes. And we're going to ask you all at the end of our presentation to cast a vote for the scheme that you like the best. So ask you to pay attention and be ready to cast a vote at the end. So Rachel, I'll hand it off to you at this point.
Sure, thanks. So as you could see in especially the top right portion of the plan on the previous page, were some of those community common areas, like a community room, billiards room, there's a multi-purpose room, cafe. So a lot of areas for the different residents to spend some time and meet up with fellow residents. So those are the main finishes that we're going to look at here. Those spaces. Yeah, we can go to the next slide now. So here, there are 3 options, but I want to point out that there's sort of a base finish palette. So you'll see the neutrals form the base of the palette. So we'll have sort of a stone look, luxury vinyl tile through the corridors. So that's a resilient flooring, as well as a wood look type luxury vinyl tile in a lot of those amenity spaces. So it'll be really warm and inviting. Some wood tones in the cabinets, some fresh, fun countertops and accent tile. And then to bring it a little bit more to life are some accent paint options. So the idea, you'll see the different swatches of green, blue, red, purple, and sort of a lighter blue. The idea is that each level of Cowan Place will have a different sort of color theme, and this will help with wayfinding to help know, which floor a resident lives on, and add, just a little bit of color, obviously, to the overall palette. So the larger square in the back of each of those colors would be the accent paint color, and then some additional the lounge furniture that would be in some of those areas. We'd bring in some more of that color as well. So you'll see some like textile options that might go on sofas and chairs and things like that. So that's kind of the overall explanation of it. So this is option 1. And you'll notice as we go through the options, the base palette is not going to change. So you'll still see that kind of stone look, LVT, and the wood. But what you'll notice changing are the colors. So this color scheme is slightly darker, so sort of richer tones. And in option 2, you'll see the colors get a little bit lighter, so a little less saturated for those accent colors. And those accent colors, I should mention, some will be in the lounge areas, like on the furniture, but they'll also highlight the entrances to the units. So going down the corridor, you'll see that there are little bump outs at each entrance of the unit doors, and that's where we're talking about where we'll see a little color. So it's not going to be a large diet of color, but it will be something that will help break up the space a bit. So as you can see in option 2, this is a little bit lighter, less saturated colors. And then if we go to option 3, thanks, we go a little bit lighter, so more toned down. And you'll see those colors have a little less saturation in the paint colors as well as the upholstery options. So those are our 3 options, kind of dark to medium to light. And I believe we're going to have a little poll that everyone can participate in to vote for your favorite.
Thank you, Rachel. So now let's get some community engagement, participation. You should have a poll that popped up on your screen. And we simply ask that you tell us which one you would prefer. Would it be option 1, 2, or 3? After a few minutes of that, then we will display the results here shortly.
Michelle, the panelists can't vote. I'm so upset.
Well, we'll take another vote for the panelists. Which one would you go for, Mary Margaret?
Oh no, I'm not gonna poison.
You're not going.
But
okay, maybe afterwards then.
Okay, but I just wanted everybody to get involved. As I recall, summer of 2019, all of us around a lot of dreaming in the Cowan community room. We put our dots on things we wanted, and we had everybody from the littlest of kids to our seniors, our churches, our nonprofit. Everybody was in the room and helping create our transformation plan. And so we want to make sure that you have input this entire way through. So we're going to be having different opportunities like this, so we can get your opinions and input when we're making decisions about how the final product will really look. So this was important to us, and you can expect to see more of it in the future.
All right, so we have option 1, 21 people chose option 1. We have 15 who went with option 2, and then 8 that went with option 3. As Mary Margaret stated, we will definitely be getting some more input from our families that were not able to join. I do see one particular individual that was relocated doing the transformation plan. I won't call that person's name out, but thank you for joining us. And so, yeah, we'll continue to do this, especially to get input from our residents as well as our community members. And we will take this into great consideration. So, thank you, Kristen. Back to you, Lou.
Thanks, Michelle. So moving on to our next very exciting phase, Views House, beginning at Amanda and Rosedale. Again, it's a plan for 210 apartments and townhomes. Again, all mixed income, which means that there are different levels of income, rents or units that will be rented at various incomes, including market rate units. There's also a mixed use component to the project, again named after and in honor of legendary Dunbar High School coach Robert Hughes Sr. The development will include about 12,000 square feet of commercial ground floor space, as you can see in the rendering in this slide, and is financed in part with competitive 9% tax credits, which are used to bring in equity from an investor, limited partner investor, to be able to leverage the debt and various resources, financial resources that are going to be brought into the project to help us build it and maintain it. Our plan is, as we have been planning this, is that what we call site preparation, which is essentially grading work that will occur on on the different blocks for this development. We intend to start in March. Then we intend to also begin our construction work at a fast pace in May. Where at that time we'll close the financial transaction with all of our partners, and we will be substantially complete with the development by the end of December 2023. Next slide, please. Here you'll see a rendering of the corner of Amanda and Rosedale. You see the buildings there essentially are 3- and 4-story buildings that will have a lot of very nice design features, ground floor offices for property management, resident amenities, as well as area for commercial uses. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a short while. Next slide, please. I wanted to maybe turn this over to Michael to talk about, maybe go back one slide and talk about the design, how we got to this particular design, and then move into talking more about the various floor plans for the project.
Yeah, thanks, Lou. If we could go back one slide to that rendering, that'd be great. Thank you. Those of you who participated in the charrettes, you may see that this looks familiar. We took those charrette images as inspiration. Obviously, when we started actually doing the real design, it's slightly different than the charrette, but we still took those images, those original images, for inspiration, because we know that those were an important part of that charrette. So what you see on the 2 corner buildings, that's Amanda Street that you see going where the car is there in the middle. So you're heading south on Amanda as you're looking at this view. And you see the 2 mixed-use buildings on your left and your right. As Lou mentioned, on the right, the ground floor of that building is the fitness center. It's the leasing offices. It's all that sort of stuff. There's a large bicycle storage area, and then there's a paseo that connects to the parking lot behind the building. You'll see in all these cases, we put the majority of the parking behind the buildings. Going down Amanda on the left side, that's where the commercial space is, although the commercial space on the west side could be converted someday. On the east side of Amanda's, where we're really looking at the majority of commercial space. It's built to commercial standards. It'll have high ceilings, all that sort of stuff. And you see the canopies and the signage there that show where that could be. There will also, down Amanda, there will be on-street parking. So it will give the ability for somebody to park and run in and get a cup of coffee or whatever happens there. Also a paseo that's just to the left of where that car is that connects back to a large parking lot behind there. So we have a lot of parking to take care of visitors and residents alike. The 2 buildings on the corner are going to be clad in a glazed brick. So that's a brick that has a little more shine to it. And the idea is that we want it to feel crisp and clean and new, and really denote the fact that this is a new day for Cabell Place. This is a new thing that's happening is in Hughes House. And so that's the idea of these corner buildings. And then we change materials as we head down the street, both Rosedale and Amanda. Change materials, change the heights of the parapets in order to break down the scale of those buildings so they don't feel too long. And then in certain locations, as you'll see just to the right of the tower there, we have balconies in some of the units as well. And the corner element, the tower corner element's really meant to call attention to this to really be a gateway. We treated these two buildings on the east and west of Amanda as really being a gateway feature into the whole development. But that tower element really denotes where the commercial is and denotes that this is the beginning of a new development. Next slide, please. As Lou mentioned, there are a variety of different unit types here. This goes all the way from small bedrooms to 4-bedroom units. So we have a mixture of all of those. Some of those are in those 2 elevator buildings, the mixed use buildings, but a good portion of those are also in smaller buildings. And what we've done is put the commercial buildings, the larger buildings up on Rosedale and Amanda. And then as you move south more into the neighborhood, you'll see that the scale of the buildings gets smaller, more like a residential scale. And so that's the idea of the development. And also in doing that gives us the ability to have a really diverse collection of units so that this neighborhood can be home of a really diverse group of families and individuals. Next slide, please. This is the master plan. If you look on the left-hand side, you'll see in red letters there, Hughes House Phase 1. That's what we've just been talking about. And so we were talking about those 2 buildings in the sort of slate blue up at the top there. But as you move on down, you'll see the buildings get smaller as we head down into the neighborhood. What we've consistently done here, and again, this is aligned with what you saw in the original charrette work several years ago. Parking for the residents is in an interior parking court, and then parking for visitors happens along the streets. And so if you're getting a pizza delivered, that guy's going to stop on the street and come to the front door of your unit. If you're parking and bringing home groceries, you're going to park in the parking lot and come in the back part of the unit. As you move to the right, you'll see in letters down below Hughes House Phase 2. This is the next phase to come. A similar idea that we have the larger, taller buildings up along Rosedale, and then we have the smaller walk-up buildings that feather down towards the neighborhood. And so the different colors of those boxes there just signify the different types of units, different sizes of bedrooms, and different heights of buildings. But we consistently are putting the parking in courts and then the visitor parking on the street. One of the features you'll see that runs along Avenue G is a linear park that starts right there where the cursor is, and it moves to the right towards Rosedale Park on the far right. That's off the slide. So that park is meant to do a couple of things. One is it's a kind of linear park that connects the whole neighborhood to Rosedale Park. It also provides a buffer between the smaller scale residential and the larger scale commercial that will happen to the north of this. And then it also provides for the neighborhood a connection to the swimming pools and splash pad amenities. In the first phase, that happens right there where the cursor is. And then the second phase, it happens a little bit further to the right, just a little bit further to the right from that, right there. So those are the amenities that you have. And so they're meant to be convenient to all the residents into both phases. And of course, as you move all the way to the right, that building there where the cursor is will be a future City of Fort Worth, a hub building that will have an aquatic center. It'll be a community center. There'll be all kinds of services offered there. And then what's anticipated above that in that white area is additional commercial development that happens there along Rosedale. And you'll see in the lower left-hand corner, that little table shows you, we mentioned a variety of unit sizes and types. That shows you 210 units in phase 1, and then an additional over 300 units for phase 2. And I think with that, Lou, I'll hand it off to you to talk about the commercial space.
Great, thanks very much, Michael. Appreciate it. So as we've mentioned before, and as you probably have heard before, we're very interested in identifying what the best uses would be for the 12,000 square feet or so of commercial space that will be on the ground floor of the building at Amanda and Rosedale. And we've had certainly some discussions with our partners, Fort Worth Housing Solutions, the city, and others about some possible ideas, but wanted to check the pulse of the community with respect to what your ideas might be, what your thoughts are in terms of what kinds of services might be needed, whether they're convenience or other kinds of uses. And we have a list of possibilities here for you all to take a look at. Ranging from a health clinic to a brand name drugstore, coffee shop, a restaurant actually with table service, and other kinds of services that are convenient for folks that will live here at Youth House and also people who are already living in the community. So I think what we're going to do here is, there it is, take another poll.
It is poll time.
Yeah, not only for you to react to this list of possibilities, but also, you can certainly also suggest to us in the chat other ideas and thoughts you might have about what's needed. So, Michelle.
All righty, once again, community participation, neighborhood businesses you would like to see in Hughes House. So from health clinics to coffee shop, drugstores. I won't go through the list because I know we all can read, but we'll take a couple of minutes and take a poll, and then we'll see the results. We need some Jeopardy music, but maybe next time.
That would be good.
Michelle, if I can go back, I'm not Jeopardy music, but maybe I'm the next best thing that we have. And I'm not going to sing, don't worry. But I will say that in the building that's along on the east side of Amanda, we also have provided larger sidewalk spaces, so we could have outdoor dining on some of these. So a coffee shop or a restaurant could spill out onto the street if that use ended up being there.
That would be amazing. Nothing like a sit down restaurant in the neighborhood. This is multiple choice, so you do not have to pick one. You can choose multiple ones. So and then if you have one that is not listed here, you can always email us at stop6 spelled out CNI at fwhs.org, and we will add that to the collection. I'm excited to see the others, what the emails that we'll get that of things that's not listed.
Michelle,
go ahead.
We have one attendee, Tiffany Neely, who is noting she marked number 6, but she really wants a grocery store. Do you want to add any context around that conversation?
Well, I'm going to let Lou add context around that. I'll give that to the specialist there. But yes, a grocery store would be great. But Lou, if you want to add on to that.
Yeah, so well, a grocery store in the usual way we all kind of define a grocery store, there simply isn't enough space for that kind of use in this development. Perhaps there are other locations within the footprint, stops the CNI footprint or nearby that might be available for that use though. But with respect to the development at Youth House, we thought that maybe a convenience store where folks could get fresh foods, fresh vegetables, etc., could work well. We definitely, I think, are interested in I'm sure we're interested in talking with businesses, existing businesses that might be able to provide that and might be able to bring their business to this location. So again, I know Mary Margaret team is really open to any and all ideas. So we really do want your participation and your thoughts.
Thank you, Lou.
Lou and Lachelle, it's Kristen Sullivan. There are several wonderful resources from the city of Fort Worth on our call today. And so if any of those people have any other context into the efforts to bring a traditional grocery store to the broader Stop 6 community, we'd welcome their input as well.
Yeah, this is Robert Stearns. Yeah, I agree with Lou. I mean, I think as far as trying to put something at this particular site, you're just going to have some spacing challenges for a traditional grocery store. But I think, overall, we recognize that we have a food desert at Stop 6, and so we need to advance on those efforts to try to bring in a grocery store. Probably the closest one that we're working through is trying to attract one into the Evanston Rosedale, which is further along down 35. But even that's a bit of a challenge. I mean, the grocery industry as a whole has been not only dealing with supply chain issues kind of during the COVID pandemic, but just the entire industry has been kind of reassessing with a lot of the online shopping experiences that are going on. So there's a little bit of a shift in the shopping in the grocery center market as it relates to types of stores are developing, the size of the stores are developing. But again, our efforts and what we're trying to look at our policies towards how do we make some adjustments to our policy to make utilization of those a little bit more attractive. We're trying to talk to some of these national retailers about coming into the market.
And Robert, I'll tag on to what you just shared with them. I agree wholeheartedly, 100% with what you've just shared with us. But for the record, I will state the goals and objectives, the priorities of District 5, because it's my desire to run this district like a business. Our established goals are, number one, a table service restaurant. We've been told by the now deceased Happy Baggett, we will not attract a national restaurant, but perhaps a local chain, a mom and pop chain. I think Jeremy Smith, with his purchase of the property on Ramey, where the old Williams Funeral Home used to be, that may be a configuration that he could work there. The other priorities are a full service car wash. We got one on East Chase, but we need one further to get us into close to Stop 6. And so we're talking with the Q car wash chain to see what they might consider. And the final, of course, is that elusive grocery store. And again, these are goals district-wide, for the district. We know that we're going to get a store at Trinity and 820, but the Temple has a member who owns the old Village store on Tierney and Rosedale. And I know that we could engage in talks with her, but again, not a national chain, but maybe that what I call the smaller version of an HEB, which has an Hispanic flair to it. So I'll just add that so that people will know the other kind of talks that are going on.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So here are the results. Coming in at number 1 is coffee shop / cafe, 29 people voted for that. Restaurant with table service, 29 people voted for that. Quality Minute Food Market, healthcare clinic, major brand store, and barbershop. And then nonprofit service provider had 14 votes, and then a cleaners / tailor had 11 votes. So, and then we had one person that will email us their suggestions. So this is great input. I think we have known just across the board that the restaurant cafe type of business is definitely wanted in the particular area. So thank you all for your participation. All right, now we will pass it on to Victor Turner for update for the community pillar.
Michelle, just one opportunity for Block to talk about this slide.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come on, Block.
Yeah, Jason, if you would maybe talk about where we are or with respect to the use house subcontracting and
Sure.
the efforts that are underway, have been underway, will continue to be happening with respect to engaging local minority-owned businesses.
Sure, be glad to. So far, what we have been doing is we have advertised in the major newspapers there. We actually have also reached out to the surrounding 6 counties, advertised there. We also are speaking with various organizations, the Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Regional Black Contractors Association and Chamber, to create as much buzz and as much outreach that we can to invite prospective companies to participate in it, in the construction of Hughes House. I think to date, I can tell you now, we have sent out over 8,000 invitations to bid. We still are planning to send out more. So that is actually on top of all the outreach that I just spoke about that we're doing in print media, and also in holding workshops of such with various organizations. We have talked also with the certifying agencies, obtained all the listings of all MWBE companies, and have also invited all of them to participate. Please give us a call so we can get you involved in the project. A couple of important things. There are local hard set of plans available for everybody to view at Fort Worth Housing Solutions there in Fort Worth. And if you need anything from us, at the bottom of the slide, you notice it says register as a potential block subcontractor. That is our email address. And on there, there's a subcontractor information form. So it's very helpful for you to fill that out. It gives us, it's kind of a name, rank, and serial number type thing. If you are indeed an MWBE, to let us know what you want to bid on, so we can send you an invitation to bid and discuss it with you. And then if you have any questions at all, we also have an email address set up specifically for Hughes House. And it's also listed there, hugheshouse@blockcompanies.com. All emails that are sent there are sent to the appropriate estimator, and you will receive a phone call very quickly so we can talk about it. Kind of moving back up to the top, we just completed actually yesterday our first block bidding webinar. What that does is we invite all subcontractors, vendors, prime subs, perhaps second and third tier subs, anyone interested in bidding. And we try to explain, we get a little bit more in the weeds, a little bit more detailed with the participants, and explain what we look for in a bid. And we explain how we can help you all to get your bid ready, things to consider, just general points of interest that I think will help the subcontractor community a lot. We have another one, as it says there, set up for February 22nd. And then there'll be a third one set up for March 1st. So we're going to have 3 training seminars. All the training seminars are going to be very similar because we want to be consistent with the information that we provide, so everyone gets a good understanding of what we're looking for. Also, right there in the middle on February 28th, there will be an in-person session for new Section 3 rules for Hughes House at the Fort Worth Housing Solutions Training Room. So anyone that is interested or needs to understand a little bit more, because there is some new guidelines that were issued by HUD about Section 3 participation, that would be great for you all to attend that. The bid date there lastly is March 15th at 11 a.m. And that will be for everything within that fenced area. In addition to, there's some off-site public infrastructure. It's pretty substantial. So if anyone on this call does public infrastructure work, or somebody perhaps that would be interested, please pass that along. There's a lot of it. So those 2 phases will be bid simultaneously, and they will actually, since some of the work obviously is on-site and some is off-site, will be built simultaneously. So there's going to be a lot of activity for everybody to concentrate on. We are dedicating a lot of resources to do our best to reach out to the community and to answer any and all questions and do the best we can to make Hughes House a success. We have a great team, as as Lou had said, with MBS and the architectural firm with Michael Bennett and Fort Worth Housing Solutions, and we appreciate it. So I think all of us together are working well together to bring this to fruition.
Thank you. Thanks, Jason. Just to add to that and close out real quick, I know we're running behind. As part of this outreach, we are working with Patty Olds, who is the CEO of Canicolo Corporation, who's joined us on the call today. Patty's working with us with Housing Solutions, the city, and certainly with Block to encourage, identify, and help identify and encourage companies to bid on the project. Patty, if you're on, you just want to say a few words before we close out, I'd appreciate it.
So I hope you can hear me. There's a lot going on behind me. My name is Patty Olds, and my team is looking forward to working with Block and McCormick Baron Salazar on specifically finding contractors that can do the work. So it's been a good ride so far. Jason, we're glad to be a part of yesterday's meeting. On February 28th, we'll be there to answer questions on the new Section 3 rules. So this quarter is really about engaging subcontractors into the next phase of the development. And so we look forward to working with you.
Thanks, Pat. Michelle, that's what we have for the housing update. Thank you.
All right, now I'll move it on to Victor for neighborhood update.
Thank you, Michelle. We'll talk fast. I'll have two other city employees doing the update with me. Roger Venables will talk a little bit about the upcoming bond program and what's included in that will impact Stop 6. And then Assistant Chief Aldrich will talk about some of the activities and measures that have been put in place to curb violent crime in Stop 6. First, we'll talk about some of the growth and development that has occurred over the last 5 to 6 years. You can see this particular slide talks about the building permits that have been issued in the Stop 6 footprint since 2016. You can see there's been exponential growth in the area. We're getting a lot of activity. You can see to the right the value of the permits that have been issued since 2016 to 2020. And I will point out, it's not noted on the slide, but the last quarter of 2021, there were 16 permits issued with a job value of 1.7 million. So there's been tremendous investment in Stop 6 over the last several years, and a lot of that is attributed to the work that both the city and Fort Worth Housing Solution have been putting into the area. Next slide. So the critical community improvements as part of the Choice Neighborhood Program, there are what they call CCIs, or critical community improvements, as part of it. And that's to support what you're already doing in the neighborhood and to stimulate economic development. So some of the CCIs that we have proposed to HUD and that have been approved in Hughes House, putting some commercial space, making it available for an anchor and potentially a medical clinic, indoor farmers market, and a transit center. The dollars will be used to both partially finish out the area, about 12,000 square feet, for businesses in that area. So we think that would be a tremendous addition to the Hughes House complex. Also, we're working with a couple of organizations on some large-scale commercial community gardens in the area. We hope to be able to partner with those entities and Fort Worth Housing Solutions on finding a location for that. But one of the most exciting parts of what we're doing is, as part of the hub, we'll include in the design an area that can be used for a farmer's market and spots for trucks of vendors can go and hook up at the hub. So during the times where on weekends where it may not be as much activity, we can have a farmer's market at the hub. And then finally, some of the commercial businesses there in Stop 6 will enhance our current facade improvement program. So those businesses can apply to improve the exterior of their building facing the roadway. So we feel that with this approach that will definitely enhance the businesses in the area and the exterior of those buildings and improve the look of those commercial buildings. Next, we'll pass it on to Roger to talk a little bit more about the bond program.
Victor, we have one question that really should go to you from Sarah Gear. She asked, are you building relationships with existing urban farms like Opal's Farm to support this concept?
Yeah, at this time, we're open to any entity that would like to expand what they're currently doing. We have talked about Opal's Farm. We talked about what Territory Food Bank would like to do in the area. So yeah, we're open to any of those organizations that would like to do commercial gardens.
Victor, morning. Victor?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Can you hear me? This is Roger. Hey, Victor, real quick, could you advance past that slide there? There's I have not had an opportunity to look at this. Do I have the ability to share my screen as well at some point?
No, Mr. Venables, but could you turn your video camera on?
Yes. Hold on just a second. Yes, do I have an opportunity? This slide here is inaccurate in terms of the propositions, so I will need to provide an updated slide to this one, okay?
Thank you. Do you want to go ahead and describe the?
Yes.
Okay.
Why don't you move past this one to the next slide, please? So last Tuesday, last week, the City Council authorized moving forward with and actually approved an ordinance that called for an election in May, where citizens will be asked to vote on 5 propositions. One of those propositions, the Park and Recreation, is Fort Worth Proposition B. Contained within that proposition is funding for about $123 million plus of park and recreation improvements. As part of that funding is also the Stop 6 Hub Community Center. That's about $17.5 million budget for that project, about 28,000 square foot facility. Again, I think Mr. Bennett described it earlier as this predominantly a community recreation facility, but also will offer other public amenities and services, including a library. But excitingly, Stop 6 Aquatics facility would be located adjacent to it. And so within that same proposition is funding for $8.2 million aquatics facility. So in all, about a $25.7 million investment in facilities there. These are exciting projects. So the elections in May 7th, early voting will start about April 25th. Included in that park and recreation proposition are a number of neighborhood and park improvements. There's about 8 different parks, 2 of which are in Council District 5, Mosier Valley Park and then Martin Luther King Jr. Park. Today, where MLK Community Center sits, will become a parkland. That facility would be removed and replaced with the new Stop 6 Hub Community Center. Next slide, please. So the schedule moving forward, again, City Council approved the ordinance last Tuesday, February 8th. Starting about March through April, and really right up to the time of the election, we'll be going out and having a series of community meetings to inform the public of what propositions they're going to be asked to vote on and what would be contained specifically in those propositions in much more detail. Again, April 25th, we've got an early voting period through May 3rd, May 7th, the election day. And overall, the bond program, as I mentioned, there are 5 propositions, $560 million bond program. About 123 of that, a little bit more, is for park and recreation. There'll be a streets and mobility infrastructure component, about $369 million. Proposition C would be a new public library in Northwest Fort Worth. Proposition D would be to address public safety concerns with two replacements, two fire station replacements and a new Northwest Patrol Division. And then Proposition E would be our open space or natural area. Proposition would be the acquisition of land citywide, really to protect those most sensitive environmental areas around the city. Again, if you've had any questions, happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions or comments in the chat. Mary Margaret, would you like to take on those?
Sure. So I really appreciate Linda and Sarah speaking up. We have been working with Mount Tabor and Tabor Farms. They've been a great partner this entire process through, and so we'll continue to work with them in our efforts around the farmers market, considering they have some crops coming online. And then Sarah, we are very familiar with Grow Southeast and all of the efforts there. So we are trying to be as inclusive as possible. All of these people were around the table when we got started and will continue to be part of the conversation as we move through the development process. So appreciate these comments and suggestions.
All right, now we'll pass it over to Chief Aldrich.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for having me on today. I know time's running a little bit long, but I'll try and be as brief as I can. So as we know, violent crime is kind of on the rise in Fort Worth. It's a major concern of ours, and it's one of our highest priorities. In order to see more about this presentation, Chief Noakes gave a presentation yesterday at Council. If you want more information about it, I would encourage you to go to our city website and watch that, because this is only going to be a brief overview. So violent crime is up in our, not only across the country, our city, but also in Stop 6. But one of the great wins for the Stop 6 community was the closing of Smokey's Food Mart at 5300 East Rosedale. I want to give acknowledgements to our city legal staff. Anybody that's been involved in a nuisance abatement process, you understand what a challenging ordeal that is. But working with our city legal staff, we were able to get that location closed. That was a location where we had quite a few violent crimes, and it was just a very troubled location, not only for the police department, but also for community members that just want to, live and exist in peace and harmony. So one of the initiatives that we had this summer was hashtag Fort Worth Safe. You can go to the next slide. Part of that initiative was a little bit different than what we've done in the past. So historically, our police department, we would saturate in certain areas, hotspot areas, with a large number of patrol officers, and a lot of people would get pulled over, innocent people just going to and from work. And we realized that we were damaging the relationships with the community that we're just trying to serve. So you'll see in this hotspot location, one of the locations that we identified was it's East 1, but it actually is the Stop 6 area. And so part of this initiative was to leverage our technology and use surveillance cameras and flock cameras to identify the bad actors and surgically remove them from the community without being an overwhelming presence of that community. If you want to go ahead and go forward one. So that initiative basically went from May 11th to September 11th. And you can see from this slide kind of the results of that. 671 arrests. More importantly, we took 234 weapons off the street. And to show, this one's really kind of interesting. If you look at the number of citations issued, we only had 20 citations issued throughout this whole initiative, which means we were targeting the bad offenders that were in this community. One great program that Chief Noakes kind of initiated was the Gun Violence Investigation Team. Prior to that, each divisional detective office would investigate these crimes. Well, their caseload was just so much, they couldn't investigate them to the point where they needed to. Before, the clearance rate for some of these non-fatal shootings was anywhere from 18 to 22%, depending on the division. Once this team went into effect, their clearance rate jumped to 60%, where we could solve a large majority of these crimes. Go ahead to the next slide. This is just a small sampling of the weapons that we seized, and a lot of these weapons were seized out of the Stop 6 area in some of our enforcement endeavors. As you can see, some of these rifles are very troubling because this looks like military grade equipment that is out there on the streets. For us, we're very grateful to get this off the street to help protect our citizens. Next slide, please. So a very important component of the Fort Worth Safe initiative was the community outreach. We had MPOs from across the city come over to those hotspot areas And more specifically in Stop 6, they would go around and they would hand out business cards. We had wristbands that had Fort Worth Safe. On those business cards was a QR code. And we were very transparent in not only our initiative about what we were trying to accomplish, but we were also transparent in the stats, how many people we arrested, and we shared as much information as we could. We also solicited feedback from that website for any citizens to report any kind of violent crime. We know that we can't do this together because without the community, this isn't going to work. We need everybody working together on this. Next slide, please. So even though the initiative stopped September 11th, we continued the efforts with our directed response unit, and you can see some of the results out of that. The hotspots still stayed the same. They were still in the Stop 6 area and other hotspot areas of our city, but you can still see we're still taking weapons off the streets. We still have a large number of targeted arrests. Next, please. So for us, besides the enforcement piece, community is the most important. Moving forward, the plan is to leverage the successes that we had from the Fort Worth Safe initiative and try and build on those successes and incorporate some other items within that plan moving forward. We want to partner with pastors, businesses, community leaders, anybody that we can to help make that area a little bit more safer. I want to give a shout out to Councilwoman Bivens. Her support has been unwavering for us. She's done a great job. She's completely invested and involved in the Stop 6 community, and she asks frequently, how can she help? And she has been a great asset of ours. That is it.
Well, thank you for that update. Thank you, Victor and Roger, as well, for giving us an update regarding what's going on in the neighborhood and what's to come. And so now I will pass it on to Simeon Henderson, who will give an update on our people pillar.
Well, greetings, everyone. My name is Simeon Henderson, and I serve as a senior project manager for urban strategies. We're a nonprofit organization that offers case management to our former Cabell Place residents, where we collaborate with our partners that offer supportive services. And we're also developing the strategy for long-term sustainability for the people plan portion of the Choice Neighborhood Initiative. Our team of family support specialists and education specialists serves as advocates for the 642 former Cabell Place residents who all have the first right to return to new housing when the housing come online. Next slide, please. As we look at resident engagement, last year, as we entered 2021, our team understood the importance of keeping our residents engaged through the case management process. However, we've faced several barriers with COVID-19, and our team was very creative around navigating the safety concerns of our families while simultaneously gaining their trust. Our engagement strategy was really a multi-layer approach where we did internal staff team building. We also led several sessions where we strategically aligned with our partners and their resources, and we organically build rapport with our residents. So thanks to our partners last year, we had an opportunity to collaborate with 21 different events that range from job fairs, virtual health fairs, food distribution, vaccine clinics, as well as fun family activities from days at the zoo, water park, as well as holiday festivities. As a result, 95.3% of our households are currently enrolled in case management, and 97.5% either have an individual development plan or family development plan that they're actively pursuing. Can you go to the next slide, please? At Urban Strategies, our work is grounded in 3 pillars. Our first pillar is economic mobility, and our goal in this area is for households to be economically stable and self-sufficient. And as you see, last year, we've seen nearly a 6% increase in, a $6,000 increase in average household income. We were fortunate to connect 52 residents to workforce development programs, as well as 48 residents. We supported them with new job placements. Really excited that last year we also was a recipient of a grant from Facebook where we were awarded an opportunity to purchase 175 Chromebooks for our former Cabell Place residents, which now give them additional opportunities to connect virtually to online tutoring, mentoring, and telehealth opportunities. So as we look forward to our this year's priorities, we really narrowed our focus down to 3 areas. Our goal was really to increase residents' career navigation and exploration, and making sure we connected them with the careers of their choice. Our focus is also to put more emphasis on workforce and credential completion, as well as job placement and job retention. Can you go to the next slide, please? Our second pillar is health and wellness. Our overall goal in this area is for children, youth, adults to be physically and mentally healthy. You see on the chart that we have a 3% increase of residents that was able to get health insurance this year. We also seen an increase of 4% from our baseline of residents connecting to primary care doctors. Really excited that 204 were connected to health and dental services, and 120 were connected to basic and emergency needs like utility assistance, as well as rental assistance. We were also fortunate to collaborate with one of our partners this year, Healthy Tarrant County Collaboration, where we co-wrote a COVID-19 disparities grant. The goal of this grant was to be able to mobilize individuals from the Stop 6 community to serve as influencers, where they could provide peer-to-peer COVID education. And we're fortunate that we have 2 of our amazing residents that actually serving as Stop 6 influencers, and they receive a monthly stipend for their efforts. Our focus this year, once again, we really narrowed it down to telehealth opportunities. Knowing our families have additional technology in their homes, we want to make sure that we connect them with those additional resources. We're going to focus on resident utilization of behavioral health services, and really excited about our third focus area, which is going to be behavior health change. We have some initiatives that we're working on now that we will give you an update at our next quarterly meeting. Next slide, please. And last but not least, our education focus. I'm really excited that this year we were able to just put a lot of focus on this area. We have 15%, well, nearly 6% increase of our families youth participating in academic related services. We've had a 7% increase of youth participating in enrichment services, and a 6% increase of young individuals being screened for developmental services. And our focus for this year will definitely be to continue to provide early learning opportunities in 2 targeted communities, which is the Everman community, where we have a large group of our residents relocated to that area, as well as the Las Vegas Trail area as well. We want to put more focus on dual generation and literacy opportunities for our families. Our goal is to reduce chronic absentees for our former residents, as well as get our high school students, or continue to support our high school students as they graduate and look forward to post-secondary opportunities. So really just want to say thank you to all of our partners for your time, talents, and treasures, and all of your countless contributions to make us support us through this journey this year. And we look forward to just a wonderful 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Simeon, for that wonderful update. Do we have any questions from the audience?
I don't see anything else, Lachelle.
Righty. So again, we will distribute this presentation. It did go live on Facebook on our Fort Worth Housing Solutions Facebook page. It will also be posted on our YouTube page, and we will email this out later on to everyone. Thank you so much for taking time to join us just to get an update about what's going on in the Stop 6 Choice Neighborhood Initiative, as well as in the community. Hopefully you were able to get a bite to eat, because we do know it's lunchtime. Also, if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to join. You can check out our website at www.stop6cni.org, and we will talk to you all soon. Have a great day.
Thank you all. Bye now.
Bye.